The Committee for Economic Development is the public policy center of the Conference Board. Since its founding, CED has harnessed the power of business leadership to solve the nation's most pressing economic and social issues. As a nonpartisan business-led organization, CED delivers well-researched analysis and reasoned solutions in the nation's interests that offer equal opportunity to all Americans, that impact our workplaces, communities, and government.
CED is a beacon of light. It allows us, through inspirational voices of each other, other trustees, to learn from each other, to build on that and not to give up hope, and instead continue to innovate for a better tomorrow.
CED formed amid the height of the Second World War to help transition the nation from a wartime to a peacetime economy. Then, CED helped plot a course for prosperity in the post-war years. It helped shape the Marshall Plan that rebuilt Europe and helped establish a stable global financial system with the Bretton Woods Agreement. Not since then have those issues borne such consequences as they do today. As the nation continues to battle disruptions of global proportion to the economy, wars in Eastern Europe and the Middle East, and the aftermath of a worldwide pandemic, CED is determined in its efforts to help chart a bipartisan path forward to a more prosperous, just, and peaceful society.
Within the context in which we're operating today, with conflict, polarization, geopolitical turmoil, lack of unified leadership, it is critical for business leaders to come together and bring a reasonable, nonpartisan, fact-based voice to the direction of this country. We must come together to provide stability and thoughtfulness as we move forward.
Through its history, CED's work has been guided by the core principle of making capitalism sustainable for generations through sustained economic growth, prosperity, and equal opportunity for all Americans. Comprised of chief executive officers, board directors, and key executives of leading U.S. companies, CED lends its voice to help shape economic policies that include efficient fiscal and regulatory policy, competitive and open markets, modernized infrastructure, accessible healthcare, a globally competitive workforce, education reform, and sustaining our democratic institutions.
CED is actually amazing at taking these very complex problems and issues and cutting it through to simple but not simplistic answers. The truth is, these are hard problems, and the solutions, although are difficult to achieve, are not that complicated. So I view one of CED's greatest strengths as simplifying, clarifying, and making actionable the real problems of today. Looking into the future, the way I see it, things are going to be more complex. There's going to be more challenges, and that makes the importance of CED even greater.
CED has helped the business and policy communities navigate through unprecedented challenges that threaten our collective future. Now, as the nation weathers the fallout from recession, pandemic, and war, one thing remains clear. We must continue to provide leadership in challenging times in order to lay the groundwork for a brighter, more just, and more prosperous nation, and a rule-based international world order.
I'll give you my queen's hello. Hello, and wow, this is fantastic. I was just asked if we were going to have a fun evening, and I said, well, I promise an inspiring one, but I think it's also going to be a fun one, having just spent a couple of minutes with this crowd in this room. So welcome to our virtual guests as well. It's really my privilege to have you enjoying this evening with us and honoring these really fantastic Distinguished Leadership Award honorees. A very special welcome to our Distinguished Leadership Award honorees, really very special. Also a very special welcome to your fabulous teams, our inspiring introducers, our indispensable sponsors, as well as our President and CEO of the Conference Board, and our Steve Odland, and the Chair of the Conference Board, Ron Williams, And of course, our CED trustees, thank you so much for joining me in hosting this evening tonight. I was going to say, as you just have seen, and I really did cut most of the CED history out of my remarks because of the video, but I may sprinkle a little bit back in. But as you've just seen, the CED, since 1942, has been harnessing and leveraging the power of the business voice, leadership voice, in order to have an impact on public policy in the nation's interests. We do this as a think tank. We rely on the thought leadership of our business leaders, and we've been having an impact since 1942 when President Roosevelt realized that he needed business leadership help in order to do a transition from a wartime economy to a peacetime economy, and CED trustees organized and put together the Marshall Plan. So we've been able to deal and face with extraordinary challenges as a nation because of the collaboration of business leadership with public policy leaders. So absolutely critical. Today we stand at a very decisive crossroad. We are living in a world, in an economy of shock and awe. The unpredictable shocks of COVID-19, of now 2 wars, one in Europe, one in the Middle East, and historic dysfunction, history-making dysfunction in Washington. And then there's the awe of opportunity. We've seen the rapid pace of development of vaccines, technology advances at unusual speed, and the unanticipated strength of the US-led coalition put together to defend our international world order. The challenges we face are exceptional, with both utopian and dystopian predicted implications. The solutions we deliver will have powerful consequences for decades to come. Committed, value-based leadership will determine how we meet these challenges and whether we leverage the opportunities to achieve sustainable and responsible outcomes. Business leaders are essential. You are all essential. And that is why we're here tonight. We are honoring committed, value-based, forward-thinking business leadership. Role models for all of us. Role models that our nation needs desperately right now. Our awards were inspired over 3 decades ago by our longest-standing CED trustee, Peter Peterson. And for those of you, many of you know that Peter Peterson was one of the nation's most successful leading businessmen. He was passionately committed, though, to making sure that business leaders participated in developing policy in the nation's interest. So this year's awards pay special tribute to our leaders in very challenging times who have helped to recover from the pandemic, ensuring equal opportunity for all Americans, building a more civil and just society, and upholding an international world order. It's a tall order, but we have really exceptional leadership to honor tonight. And to help me do that, I'm going to turn the microphone over to Peter Altebeff, one of our leading trustees, who is going to join me in welcoming you tonight. Peter is a member of our committee awards.
Thank you, Laurie. Good evening. I have a couple of roles here tonight, and I hope that I serve Laurie well when she asked me to make these announcements. The first is as a trustee and as co-chair of the Technology and Innovation Committee of CED. In that role, I get to spend quite a lot of time with Laurie and the team. And I know many of us do, especially the trustees here. And I just want to say, not a meeting goes by that I don't feel inspired and excited by the work of the CED. And the staff is just incredible. I mean, Laurie, the team you have built is truly best in class. So thank you for that. As a member of the 2023 Award Dinner Committee, I'd like to thank both the award recipients and the introducers. As the evening progresses, you will learn more about the exceptional awardees and both their personal and professional journeys. As Lori mentioned, I think each one of their stories will serve as an inspiration for each of us. And it's also a reminder, I think, that through their both personal and professional success, you know, sometimes we think of it as items in competition, but I think it will become obvious to everybody here that, you know, a deep desire to, you know, enhance the public good with responsible stewardship, with environmental sustainability, with the ethical use of technology, with equitable access for all, and safeguarding the long-term economic stability of both peoples and communities has been on the agenda for every one of these people. And far from being in competition with their success, that North Star has helped enable their success. To my fellow trustees, I want to thank you for your contributions to this remarkable organization. Your time, your effort, and your support have helped propel CED to increasing relevance and effectiveness in a world that I think desperately needs this voice. And what kind of a voice do we have? It's a nonpartisan voice. It's a data-driven voice. It's an ethics-driven voice, and it's a mission-driven voice. And what is that mission? I'm going to read this because I want to get it right. Our mission, in case anybody forgot, is to harness the power of leadership to solve our most pressing economic, geopolitical, and social challenges. I think that's a mission we can all be proud of. Lori alluded to it, but when CED was founded in 1942, it was really the dark days of World War II. The people who founded CED did it with optimism, with rigor, and with determination. And that has never changed. And I think the world and the country are all the better for what our predecessors have done. Now it's on us. To those of you who are not active or not active yet in CED, I hope this evening inspires you to get more active. We need you. As I conclude, and as Lori comes back, I'd like to ask all of us to join in some well-deserved applause for Lori and her team at CED.
Thank you so much, Peter, and another shout out to the CED team. Thank you all for everything you're doing every day and really taking the opportunity to leverage the thought leadership of our CED trustees and turn it into usable and pragmatic advice. Now my privilege to introduce John Chambers, who is founder and CEO of JC2 Ventures, and of course, as you all know, he's the former chair and CEO of Cisco Systems. John is also a former Distinguished Leadership Award honoree from 2016. So John, I'm turning this over to you.
Occasionally in life, you get to introduce somebody that you admire, you believe in, you watch them do things that were almost impossible, and yet they're an amazingly smart, wonderful person as well. When Lisa became CEO of AMD, I did not know her at that time, but I called that day and said, I will be there to support you for as long as you want, and I'm so excited about how you're going to take on the giants and turn them around. When you look at the job that she's done, her track record speaks for itself, although I'm going to hit some highlights on it. Her ability to build relationships at the government level, at the business level with her employees is amazing, and people just trust you, Lisa. Her stock is up 3,000% in terms of time that she's been a leader in the market. She acquired one of my companies, and I thank you for that, although I probably should have negotiated a better price. And the people love working for her. But I want to draw a comparison. I want you to listen to these numbers. There's only been 2 major turnarounds in Silicon Valley and high-tech history, really turnarounds. One of them was by Steve Jobs. In 14.5 years, what he did at Apple was amazing. The other one is Lisa and what she did at AMD. And let me back this up with numbers. Steve, during his 14 years, averaged a growth rate of 39% in terms of his market capitalization. Lisa, during 9 years, averaged 58%. Steve grew his revenues by 18.4% compounded annually. Lisa grew by 18.2%. Steve took his net income margins, profitability by revenue, if you will, from 1% to 23%, and Lisa took hers from 1% to 23%. When I got those numbers, I said, this can't be right. And I said, go run them again. And Lisa, you are in a class by yourself. One of the 2 great turnaround artists in our industry, and now you're taking on AMD. People trust you, they love you, and it's an honor to welcome you tonight to the stage for your award. Please join me in welcoming Lisa Singh. We're going to pose for pictures here.
Wow. You know, it's hard to follow John Chambers, don't you think? First of all, it is such an honor to be here tonight. Thank you, John, for that introduction. I have to finish the story about John. Actually, he did call me. I asked, when I first became CEO, we needed a little bit of help, and we thought we needed a few board members. And so I said, John, would you consider being on my board? He actually said, Lisa, I don't know if I need to be on another public board, but I will help you any time of the day. And John has absolutely done that. I was so lucky. The one thing he said to me is, I will be your mentor as long as you mentor others as they come along. So John, thank you so much. It's amazing to be in this room. I'm so honored to be here. You know, Lori, the conference board, CED, thank you for you know, this wonderful honor. And I'm especially honored to be you know, part of an event with so many distinguished honorees, including my good friend Arvind, who I feel like I grew up at IBM, Arvind. So thank you for that. You know, I would say that just a little bit about my story, right? I first actually fell in love with semiconductors when I was a freshman in college. And I thought the idea of being able to build all of these devices on these tiny chips that were the size of a coin was just amazing. Now, when I would tell people what I wanted to work on and what I was working on, I would say semiconductors, and they would say, what are those? They actually said, it didn't sound very interesting. But the truth is, it's been just an amazing, amazing experience if you think about what technology has been able to enable in this world. Everything that we have experienced through the pandemic, through the technology capabilities, through everything that's gone on, we've seen the tremendous growth of semiconductors and how important they are in shaping our everyday lives. So at AMD, we're focused on building some of the most complex, highest performance chips there are. We like to say that we're here to push the envelope on the bleeding edge of technology. And there are things that I can say that I truly wasn't sure that we could do. But when you put amazing engineers and significant ambition behind it, you're able to accomplish it. And if I just give you one small example, today, the fastest supercomputer in the world is actually housed at Oak Ridge National Laboratories. And it's the first supercomputer to break the 1 exaflop barrier, which is, I have to look at this, it is 1 million trillion mathematical operations per second. And it's used for tremendous research across all areas. When we had the opportunity to be a part of this, I thought, what better thing could we do as a company, as a team, and as an industry to be able to bring something like that to life? I wouldn't be here today without the incredibly talented team at AMD, so I have to you know, thank you know, everyone in our global team, and some of them are sitting here tonight, so thank you. You guys make me look good. And I also want to acknowledge another very special mentor who's here with us tonight, Nick D'Onofrio. Nick D'Onofrio was my mentor when I was a kid at IBM, and he gave me one of my first shots. So thank you, Nick, for being an incredible mentor for over the last 30 years. Now, I want to say, as exciting as life is and as exciting as technology has been for the last 30 years, we are on the cusp of another major computing revolution, and I believe everybody in this room is thinking about it. It's really how AI is going to change the way we work, live, every enterprise, every operation, and that's really exciting to me. I like to believe that what we're working on is something that truly makes the world a better place. So I feel incredibly fortunate to be part of this industry and at AMD, and at a time when there's such huge opportunity to make the world a better place. So thank you once again to the members of the CED. Thank you for this wonderful honor, and I hope everyone has a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Lisa. Congratulations, and I know we're in excellent hands. There are a lot of questions about where this technology is taking us, or can we compete? And with your leadership, I think you've just assured us, both during your tenure and the team at AMD, that we're off and running. So it's now my privilege to introduce Mary Daly, who is President and CEO of the Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco, and this is not a Q&A period. She's introducing Tamara Lundgren.
It is decidedly not a Q&A period because I'm on blackout, but I flew across the country because of who I'm introducing. I have the distinct privilege of introducing Tamara Lundgren. Now, I first met Tamara as, and I should have said, which she does, she is the president and CEO of Radius Recycling. But I first met Tamara as a member of the Portland branch board of the San Francisco Fed. And we wanted someone from a steel industry, and honestly, we didn't think we would get a woman. And yet, there was Tamara in Portland running, at that time, Schnitzer Steel, which has now renamed itself into Radius Recycling, to represent the 360 economy that it participates in, the virtuous circle that it's been part of building. Now, we had her in 2012 at the Portland branch, and then every year since then, we've asked her to please continue her service with the San Francisco Fed. And now she's risen to our highest ranks. She is the chair of the San Francisco Head Office Board, and she is the chair of the Council of Chairs of the Federal Reserve boards across the entire Federal Reserve system. So that's quite a service. Every time we called, she said yes. But she's not only served in the Fed, she's actually answered several calls in government. And in fact, two stand out. She served for two administrations, first nominated and chosen by President Obama, and then subsequently by President Trump. And in both times, she was a trade advisor for the administrations. So in addition to being a CEO of a major industry, in a major corporation in a major industry, Tamara is a devoted public servant. And yet the part that I want to focus on tonight is actually what I love most about Tamara, and that is her leadership. She is my favorite leader, really, who I've known, and she's a complete leader. Tamara has a unique ability to see opportunities where others see impossibilities. People say it's not going to work, and she says, I see where it can. She blends vision with pragmatism and drives results in areas that seem in impossible odds with each other, trade-offs that cannot be surmounted, such as running a successful manufacturing company, a recycling company of metals, in a safe, environmentally sustainable, and diverse in employment and who it serves method. That is something. And her record tells the story, and if I had more time, I would go through each one of those things. But I can sum it up by saying that her accomplishments have been repeatedly recognized by industry leaders like yourselves, by government, by media, and by those of anyone who knows her and everyone who's been mentored by her. And ultimately, this is why I'm so proud to be here today. It's because Tamara stands tall in the center and sees the opportunities that so many miss. And when she does that, she brings that pragmatic, visionary way of being to everyone. That is a unique quality. It's a uniquer quality when you talk about it being coupled with people who like to lead. And it's the quality of a unicorn when you combine those two attributes with people who also devote themselves to public service. So Tamara, please join us, and I'd like everyone to welcome Tamara to the stage. Congratulations on your very well-deserved award.
Good evening, everyone. Mary, I can't thank you enough for that kind. Thank you. Height. Mary, we talk about this with my husband all the time. Mary, I can't thank you enough for that kind introduction and for traveling across the country to be with me here this evening. It has been my absolute privilege to serve with you on the board of the San Francisco Fed, and I'm just absolutely delighted that tonight's events did not conflict with an FOMC meeting, so thank you. Lori, I have tremendous gratitude to you and the trustees for this recognition. Your success in advocating for sound public policy, for fostering purpose-driven leadership and constructive dialogue, and for promoting sustainable growth is an inspiration to all of us. And congratulations to my fellow honorees, to Lisa, to Arvin, to Shonda, Jim, and Michael. It is a uniquely special honor for me to receive this award alongside you. Each of you represents an extraordinary example of what can happen when vision and values combine with talent and tenacity. So congratulations. I am profoundly honored to accept this award on behalf of my colleagues at Radius. It is your commitment to excellence, to innovation, and your relentless spirit that underpins our success. This award is as much yours as it is mine. Thank you for your trust, for your collaboration, and above all, for your integrity. Now, it's impossible to me to speak tonight about leadership in challenging times without acknowledging the myriad crises in leadership in Ukraine, in Israel, in Gaza, in the US Congress, and not to mention the other percolating below the headlines today. Receiving an award like this prompts reflection, and as I look back, I come away with one overarching thought. Effective leadership relies on building and maintaining strong relationships. As a fellow CEO said or stated so well, he said, no matter where we live, no matter our background or personal beliefs, we need to rediscover our basic commonality. The situation facing the world today is complex and so much bigger than any of us, but not bigger than all of us. But if we eschew relationships and we hunker down in our respective bunkers, we won't get anywhere. We need dialogue and we need understanding. And the same goes within our companies. At Radius, we are immensely proud of our rich heritage, built by a workforce that has always been broad-based. Respect and tolerance for those whose beliefs and points of views differ from our own are essential values of our company. They're part of our DNA. We live and we learn together, and we recognize our common humanity in the hopes that we can contribute to the making of a better world. Our global community faces an urgent need to decarbonize. Metals will be part of the solution, just as they've been catalysts for so much of the innovation that has shaped our world. And while metals are a finite resource, they are also infinitely recyclable. As one of the largest metal recyclers, our impact spans the globe and is recognized as an important strategic solution to carbon reduction and the circular economy, whether it's finding low-carbon alternatives to mined metals or creating net zero carbon emission steel products for infrastructure. We're charting paths on the decarbonization journey. And we know we can't do this or achieve any real success without a skilled workforce. Our Radius Academies invest in education in partnership with vocational schools and high schools across the country. And I'm particularly proud of this program, which provides hands-on training to equip students with specific skills for our industry and offers full student loan reimbursement. Thank you. So I spoke earlier about relationships, and I think we all can agree that none of us has achieved anything by ourselves. We are here because of the support of a parent, a friend, a teacher, a mentor, a coworker, and for me, also my spouse. Many of you know that my husband, John, who's here tonight, led Stanley Black & Decker as its chairman before retiring in 2017. John, I'm enormously grateful to you for your shared wisdom, your partnership, and your steadfast support. Thank you. And thank you to the CED Board of Trustees for this honor, to my team and my directors, thank you for your unwavering support, and to my fellow awardees, congratulations once again. Thank you. Tamara, thank you so much. Really a privilege to honor you and to work with you at CED as a trustee. I will share a secret with the Radius Recycling team. When I asked Tamara where did she get her inspiration from, she said from talking to the team at Radius Recycling. And John, I was just looking at you. I think she may have mentioned you too. But, but now it's my privilege to introduce Karen Lynch, President and CEO of CVS Health, as you all know.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Lori. It is my distinct honor tonight to introduce the Chairman and CEO of IBM, Arvind Krishna. Arvind, you have your cheering team out there. Arvind is quite literally shaping the technology industry as we know it today, and he is making a profound impact on society. Arvind took his role as CEO in 2020, and which I think we all agree was probably most arguably one of the most complicated and uncertain times for any leader to take over as CEO. And yet, he has led a massive global company to new heights in the last 3.5 years. He's helped clients all around the world pursue digital transformations as they've been changing their businesses. And over the last couple months, there's been what we might call the explosion around this little thing we call artificial intelligence. Arvind has been known for his visionary thought leadership around AI. And as you all know, being a visionary, he's obviously going to help all of us change the way in which we do business. Arvind is also setting the standard for responsible AI through foundational commitments to ethics. And he infuses this ethos for his entire company. while also ensuring the IBM partners understand how to ethically use new and innovative technologies. The commitment that he's made about doing business while doing good extends to his bold sustainability goals that he set for his company. He's aiming to realize net zero operational greenhouse gas emissions to net zero, and they're well on their way. They've already reduced emissions by nearly 62%. But setting aside his incredible business accomplishments, he isn't just a technology visionary or an exceptional leader. He's also a very devoted person to his family. And that's been the case for his entire life. His career was greatly influenced by his mom, Artie, who was a constant source of support for Arvind, and she encouraged Arvind to come to the US to advance his career. And today, Arvind's beautiful family, his wife is here today, Sonia, and his children are the center of his world. I had the opportunity to speak to Sonia's wife the other day, and I asked her to give me a few sound bites about Arvind. And she said he's the most dependable person that you will ever meet, and he always puts his children first. But I have to share a story with all of you, because he doesn't just put his children first, he puts Sonia first. I was with Sonia and Arvind at an event. And for all the women in the room, sometimes you know we have problems with our heels. Well, Sonia was having a little bit of problem with her heels. And Arvind stopped the entire group to help Sonia get back on her feet and to make sure that she was taken care of. It was for me, it was just such a sweet moment to witness his commitment and his love for his wife, and how dedicated he is to his family. And that commitment has served him, as a tremendous example for the rest of his company. And when it comes to people at IBM, he's leading the way and developing the next generation of talent. He's committed over $250 million in skills-based training. He's deeply focused on increasing representation in his company. And under his leadership, IBM is investing in apprenticeships all across the world to ensure that the next decade of leadership in technology is much more inclusive than it is today. Arvind, you are making the world a better place through your commitment to your employees, your visionary leadership in technology, your focus on doing good business while doing good. And I think maybe also your cooking, because you know what? Arvind has a goal, that he has a dream that he's going to make every single recipe in Julia Child's cookbook. And I am hoping that I get an invitation to one of those dinners. But I'll close with this. Under your leadership and your stewardship, Arvind, I am confident that the technology-powered future you are building is one that is safe, that is productive and bright for each and every single one of us. So it is my honor and my privilege to introduce a bold leader, an honorable friend, and an extraordinary human being, Arvind Krishna.
First, Karen, thank you so much for those overly generous and kind words. I don't really deserve those. Also, Laurie and all of the trustees, thank you very much for this award. And to all my fellow honorees, it is actually just incredible company to be in. Lisa, Jim, Tasunda, Michael, Tamra, all of you. This is just incredible company to be in. Just a couple of quick comments. One, like Lisa, I am an absolutely enthusiastic fan of what technology is doing for all of us. You look at the standard of living. Lisa talked about semiconductors. We'll use that as the exemplar. If you look at the productivity of what goes on a square inch of semiconductors and you plot it against global GDP, it is shockingly how much those curves follow each other. Slightly different scales, but they do follow each other incredibly well. And so we can look at that as a proxy for all that we enjoy. And I think quality of life in all of its dimensions is really what we all strive for. The second aspect which Karen spoke of is responsible technology. I have the fortune to lead IBM, and we have a long history in trying to use technology responsibly. And today, a lot of that conversation is around AI. There's a lot of utopian ends we can see, and some dystopian. By the way, I will tell you straight up, I think some of the more fantastical pronouncements out there are truly that fantastical. AI is not going to take over from humanity and run the world, at least for the next few decades. And when people like us say, not for the next few decades, all that means is we have no idea if it can get to that end. That said, we do have to worry about some of the other issues that are there around cyber security. People use the word hallucination, maybe elections, misinformation. And so I think it is upon all of us in the industry to talk about how we try and help policymakers put rules in place that put guardrails around these topics. There is no perfection, there's no one silver bullet, but it is upon us. Whether we use the word accountability, we use the word indemnification, we use the word legal remedies, we use the word open, transparent. As an industry, we're not always known for being completely transparent. I think this is an area where we're going to force to be. But look, enough said. I really believe these technologies, AI included, are part of what is going to propel us forward. It is going to impact every industry. Laurie said it, Lisa said it, and we are going to see that happen in the next few months and years. This is no longer decades away. So with that, Laurie, Karen, thank you both very much, and all the trustees. Thank you.
Well, I think you all agree with me when I share with you that, as you all know, CEOs are very hesitant to be predictive, and policymakers are even worse about talking about hypotheticals. The most fun was talking to Arvind about what the future would look like, and he was predicting 5, 10, 30 years out. So, and I do think, and we'll say that we talk a lot about responsible AI, and Arvind, knowing that it's in your hands, we're heading in a very responsible direction. So thank you so much, and please now enjoy dinner, and we'll be back after dinner for the remaining rewards. It's always good to have your husband here to start the clapping. Thank you, and hope you enjoyed dinner. And as soon as everyone quiets down, I have a very special next introduction to make. My privilege to introduce Melody Hobson, President and co-CEO of Ariel Investments, who will introduce Tashonda Brown Duckett, and a shout out to the Ariel team, you're the best.
Thank you so much. I am so excited to be here to rave about someone that I deeply, deeply admire. I might cry. I feel like I've known Tashonda my whole life, but the fact of the matter is we've only known each other for about 5 years. I had just joined the board of JP Morgan Chase when the CEO of Chase Consumer Banking came in to present to us. T, as she's known around the bank. Now let's just think about that a minute. Not her first name, her first letter. That tells you how successful she was. T, as she was known throughout the bank, was thorough, she was thoughtful. She did not just hold the room, she suspended it. She provided information, but more importantly, she provided insight. She exemplified excellence. I was always excited to see her name on the board agenda, and I genuinely looked forward to her presentations, which is not always true in banking. Now, as many know, it's important that board members don't show any favoritism to executives. We're expected to be independent, even-handed, even-minded, and I was, although I must admit, and T knows this, I constantly texted her under the table and said things like, "You are crushing it." Now, sadly for me, T has since moved on for Chase, but I'm proud to say we're still connected personally, as professionally as well. As president and CEO of TIA, she is now an Ariel client. In fact, Nuveen, a TIA company, was one of the early LPs in our first private equity offering, Project Black. We are so grateful for their support, and I'm certainly grateful for hers. While I'm grateful for her support, I'm not surprised by it, because you can always count on T. You can also count on her to show up as herself. She is unapologetic in her demeanor, and she is bold in her authenticity. She brings her entire story to the table, be it a boardroom table or a kitchen table, and we have been in my kitchen. She also carries the weight of being one of only 2 Black women CEOs of Fortune 500 companies in the United States. She carries that weight effortlessly, and it is not an easy load. I especially enjoy hearing Tashanda talk about the stories of her parents. Now, I will tell you, I don't know many of the names of my friends' mothers and fathers, but Rosie and Otis Brown come up a lot. I have to tell you a story about the bank that's so famous. Before T got her last big promotion, the co-president of JP Morgan called her father at work to tell him first. That is a true story. Tashanda's authenticity makes her more effective in every single thing she does, be it running a huge company or being a good friend to me and so many other people. Her authenticity is also so endearing. Someone once told me that you should try to be a person that people want to hug. T is someone people want to hug. And then they want to listen to her, and then they want to learn from her. And I can tell you, I've learned a lot. So, it is truly my pleasure to introduce this year's CED Distinguished Leadership Honoree. Congratulations to Rosie and Otis Brown's daughter, and my dear friends, Tashanda Duckett.
Wow. You know, when I see Melody, I just have to take a deep breath
because so many thoughts run through my mind. You embody what a North Star means. You are one of one. You are someone who, in the boardroom, created space in your way that gave me that little nudge to say, you got this. And so the text to say you crushed it comes from a place of knowing what it means to walk into a boardroom at JP Morgan Chase, but also what it means when you're the first in so many ways to just say, you got this. And so I want to thank Melody for reminding me what sisterhood looks like, what leadership looks like, what friendship looks like, and what someone who has your back, even when you do not know it, looks like. Thank you, Melody. I also want to thank this entire trustees tonight. I want to thank Lori. I want to thank the other honorees. To have the opportunity to share this space with all of you means so much, and I am full of gratitude and humbled by the impact that you all are making, not just in your company, but around the world. You know, it does take a village, and everyone was saying, oh, I want to meet Richard, and I want to meet your kids, and the truth is none of them are here. Because my daughters had a fencing tournament, my other son had school, my 7-year-old, and so my husband is holding it down. That creates space for me to be here. And so I do want to acknowledge Richard Duckett. But you know what's great about friendship and family is that they know how to stand in the gap. And though my husband is not here, nor my children, nor Otis and Rosie Brown, but my friends who are family to me here are here. My colleagues at TIAA, who is taking this amazing hill with me to continue to make impact, you all are here. My board colleagues at Nike and the executive team, you all are here. And so, though sometimes you have to make tough choices when you're raising children and your spouse cannot make it, I am comforted in knowing that I have an amazing village that always steps up and gives me that extra nod and that extra encouragement. So again, thank all of you. So since the earliest days of my professional journey, I have been unapologetically passionate about ensuring financial health for everyone. And yes, I do have fire in my belly to solve the gender and racial retirement and income gaps that continue to plague our country. I stand before you representing more than 15,000 TIAA teammates who commit themselves every day to fight for retirement security and ensure that we are making investments to build a better world. Yes, we are facing a retirement crisis. The sobering statistics haunt us, but also drive us every day. The truth is, over 40% of Americans do not have enough savings to retire. The truth is, it is even more pronounced for women. Women retire with 30% less. The truth is, Black Americans, 54%, do not have enough savings for retirement. The truth is 64% of Latinos do not have access to a workplace retirement plan. So how are we going to close this income gap when we are transferring debt in an intergenerational way where the children are taking care of the parents? These statistics need to change, and yes, we can be the change. There is still much work to be done, but TIAA has always risen to the challenges the market presented, transforming and evolving, earning the right every day to ensure that we are doing good on behalf of our participants. That's why I am so proud to have followed the footsteps of Roger Ferguson. I am so proud to now be the CEO of a 105-year-old heritage dedicated since our founding to ensure secure retirement for millions of Americans. Leadership is always about asking ourselves one key question: what more can we do? As a company, we have always asked that question, given our mission and our rich heritage of providing secure retirement. We started with educators at colleges and universities. Then we moved to ensure that not just the educators, but those that were cleaning the grounds of universities had access to a secure retirement. And then we expanded to healthcare, and now we are entering the 401k market. The spirit of Andrew Carnegie and what he saw still guides us. What he saw when he looked at college professors that were educating some of the world's most brilliant minds was not retiring with dignity, but in poverty. And because of the vision of Andrew Carnegie, we get to continue the fight to ensure that millions of Americans can retire in dignity. So when I think about where we are, especially when I look at this very powerful room, I look forward to working with all of you and joining this fight, the fight to do all that we can to ensure that our own employees have benefits that they are taking advantage of. To ask the fundamental question, are they saving enough? Are we auto-enrolling them? Are we ensuring auto-escalation? Are we providing financial education? And when they have to take the hardship, do we look at the data to make sure we reach out to them and remind them so they don't lose decades of not contributing? That is our opportunity, and I know that together we can be the change. So in closing, I just want to express gratitude. Thank you for the recognition. Thank you for recognizing so many of my colleagues who are passionate fellow warriors and doing our best to lead on big issues, but also to lead in small issues. Thank you, Melody, again, for all that you do to make sure that we stay in good trouble. And thank all of you for all that you continue to do to help make sure that this world can be a better place because we get the privilege to lead it at this moment. Thank you.
Well, thank you. You've just heard it. You just heard the passion that I had the privilege of hearing in a podcast that I did with Tashonda, our Leadership in Challenging Times. She just shared it with you, a call to action. Tashonda, thank you for all you do to make sure that all Americans are retiring with dignity. Really appreciated. And now, if I could have your attention. Luke, do you want to do another Please Keep Quiet? I need the voice of God.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will resume the Distinguished Leadership Awards celebration. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Now, it is my privilege to introduce Julie Sweet, who is actually a Distinguished Leadership Award winner in her own right, Chair and CEO of Accenture, to introduce Jim Fitterling.
So Jim and I were discussing our placement in the program following Melody and Tasenda. Jim's advice was, well, we better be funny. At which point I confessed, I'm really not funny, and my children would attest that. So that's over to you, Jim. I'm not funny, but I have great material because I get to talk about Jim, who is a man I deeply admire and I'm honored to call my friend. So Jim leads a unique company with a 125-year history, whose heritage is best summed up in the statement, "We imagine better." Dow affects all of our lives in ways you probably don't know. Dow is often the first ingredient or the first in the supply chain on things that affect how you brush your teeth in the morning, wash your hair, the car you drive, the stickers on your daughter's iPad, the coverings on the windows in your office. Jim has led the company since it spun out in 2019 and has set the Dow ambition to be the most innovative, customer-centric, inclusive, and sustainable material sciences company. When you listen to that ambition, you get a hint at why we're honoring Jim today. Because he takes innovation and customer centricity with inclusion and sustainability. We both became CEOs near the same time and have the shared experience of these unique times. But we really got to know each other through our shared values around sustainability, diversity, and investing in our communities. When I think about Jim, I think about the word action. I'm also usually pretty tired when I look at everything that Jim does. So I wanted to give you just a snapshot. So Jim is leading in sustainability, encouraging groundbreaking engineering that will someday allow Dow to operate at massive scale net carbon, not to mention the amazing net carbon products that they are developing for us all to use. Under Jim's leadership, Dow was a founding member of the Alliance to Eliminate Plastic Waste. Jim is leading from the front on the diversity efforts at Dow, himself personally sponsoring the Global African ERG, as well as being well known for his fight for LGBT, non-discrimination, and workplace equality. As if Jim wasn't busy enough, he's chairing the National Association of Manufacturing, which represents nearly 13 million Americans who make things, working for smart policy and equal opportunity. And I'm privileged that Jim is on the board of Catalyst, a global organization for the advancement of women that I chair. He is helping lead a groundbreaking initiative to have more women on the front line with great careers, lending his passion and his expertise. These are just a few of the things that Jim is doing to take action. Now, when I talk to his colleagues and friends and I ask them what words describe Jim, a few others came up. One was loyal. Jim joined Dow 2 weeks after graduating from college and is unwavering in his commitment to Dow and to Team Dow. Another is warm. Don't be surprised if you're walking around Dow and someone spontaneously hugs Jim, because he is incredibly giving and warm and authentic. Mizu, he's pretty legendary. His legendary commitment to his alma mater came up a lot. But perhaps the word that came up the most was the word humble. Jim, the hardest thing about preparing tonight's remarks was that I knew you really wouldn't like them, because you don't like to be talked about around you. You're not quiet. You lead from the front. You use your voice very loudly for the things you believe in, and that is why we admire you so much. But you really don't like being talked about or acknowledged. And so tonight, I want to thank you for everything you've done to deserve the award, but also for allowing us to recognize you. Because you and Arvind and Lisa and Michael and Tamara and Tasunda, inspire the seasoned leaders in this room to reflect, how can we do more? And for the many next generation leaders who are here tonight, you are role models for what they can become. So thank you, all of you, for letting us recognize you so you can inspire us. Thank you. Please welcome Jim.
When you come this late in the show, like Julie said, I think I'll throw away most of the notes, because I know some of you'd like to get out of here. Alex couldn't be here tonight, but he's been a huge support for me. We met in Hong Kong in 1994 and have been together ever since then. So he's made a lot of moves, 10 moves in my Dow career, and he's made them all. And but his full-time job now, as he says, is taking care of me and Lucy. So, and the rest of my family's here, my Dow family. And you know, when I went to Midland from Missouri, it was actually the first time I'd been on an airplane was to go to Midland. And I went to a few other places to get offers, but everybody says, well, why'd you choose to go to Dow? And I said, it was easy. Because of the people. Because when I went to Midland, everybody that I met from the CEO on down, you could talk to, and it was an open door. It was, everybody's door was open. And even, I hope today, even in Dow, you can talk to your boss's boss, or you can come and talk to me without any kind of fear of reprisal. It was that camaraderie that led to it. And Herbert Dow was, he has many sayings that we like to talk about, but I think one of the best ones was, I can find 1,000 people to tell me something won't work. All I need is a few people to help me make it happen. And that spirit at Dow is alive and well, that can-do spirit. And that's what motivates us and drives us every day. I won't talk about all the things that we're doing on inclusion, but I do want to talk about sustainability. This energy transition is a big deal, and you know we're huge users of alternative energy, and we're big suppliers into the industry, and we're big supporters of it. But one of the challenges we have is we're driving electrical use in this country and around the world more and more, and electricity is only 20% of the energy use in this world, and we're driving huge increases in electricity use and not adding much baseload power. In fact, we're retiring baseload power, especially coal-fired power, at a great rate. And we've got to add some baseload power, and that's why hydrogen and nuclear are so critically important to us. And we've got two major projects which we're doing. And I think, you know, it would be easy to sit on the sidelines, but that wouldn't be the Dow spirit. One is with X-Energy is to put a small modular nuclear reactor, actually 4 small modular nuclear reactors at a plant in Seadrift, Texas. They'll take that entire site almost to 0 carbon emissions and provide all the power and the steam that we need. And if that can work, I think many in industry who rely on not just electricity but steam to drive their plants are going to look at that technology and say, we've got to scale that. And then hydrogen and carbon capture, we're building the largest ethylene polyethylene complex in the world that will be 0 scope 1 and 2 emissions. And it'll be on the basis of using hydrogen to fire the furnaces and then scrubbing out the CO2 and sequestering it underground. And the infrastructure is there in Canada, and I think now with the great work we've done with the IRA here, once we've built that in Canada at scale, the infrastructure should be in place in the United States to come right here and do the same thing again. During COVID, our team put together a plan to take us to zero carbon emissions of our own Scope 1 and 2 emissions by 2050. And we all firmly believe that we can make it happen. And that's the kind of big challenges. If I look back in history, when the first desalinization plant in the United States started, President Kennedy pushed a button on it. It was in Freeport, Texas, at Dow Operations. When Dow went to the Gulf Coast from Midland, went to Freeport, it was to build a magnesium plant so that we could fly airplanes in the war effort. And the people that built that plant lived in tents for about 5 years while they built that factory using mules and plows and everything to turn the ground. And that kind of attitude still exists at Dow. And I'm very proud of the team. I'm proud to lead the team, but it wouldn't happen with just me. It happens because of them. We got some really smart engineers and scientists. And I think it's important for us to be out front and show people how to do this and that it can be done. Not just that it can be done, but it can be done cost effectively, and we can afford to make this transition. It has to be smart, but we can do it. So thank you very much to the CED and the Conference Board for the recognition. I'm humbled to be up here with all of the other honorees who I know and admire, and it's great of you to think of a company like Dow when you think about somebody for this award. Thank you.
Jim, thank you for all you're doing. The energy transition, as you said, is one of the biggest challenges facing this country, and it's a #1 priority at the Conference Board in terms of trying to help develop pathways forward on how we achieve that goal. So thank you for all you're doing, and most importantly, thank you for letting us recognize you. Now I'd like to introduce Doug Hammond, who is Chair and CEO of NFP, who is going to introduce Michael Dowling. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Lori made me promise not to take more than an hour this evening because it's the last. I'm the last one to go, so Michael, we got to really sort of keep it to a specific time limit. I'm sitting at a table tonight with John Chambers, Lisa Sue, Michael Dowling, Tamara Lundgren, Mary Daly, John Lundgren, my beautiful wife Trish, and I'm asking, why am I sitting there? It's an amazing honor to be around all of you in such a great crowd of unbelievable honorees and such a great event tonight. So thank you so much. Tonight it's my pleasure and honor to talk a little bit about my friend Michael Dowling. Since joining Northwell's board several years ago, I've had the pleasure of witnessing Michael's leadership and the incredible team that he surrounds him with every single day at Northwell, and the staff at Northwell. They are exceptional human beings caring for people every single day. Since becoming CEO of Northwell in 2002, Michael has led Northwell to become the largest private employer in New York and the largest healthcare provider in New York. Northwell serves and cares for over 2 million people every single year. That is an amazing feat, but what truly distinguishes Michael's leadership is much deeper than that. The success of the institution he oversees is really about a relentless drive to better the circumstances of other people. Through care, employment, innovation, to take on the biggest and hardest challenges without regard to the height of the mountains that Michael climbs and that the staff and executives at Northwell climb. They take them on every day, and they pursue excellence in what they do. I want to talk a little bit about Michael's true character, and there's a book that I love called The Second Mountain by a guy named David Brooks. It's about the quest of a moral life that I think perfectly describes Michael. Every once in a while, we meet a person who radiates joy. These are people who seem to glow with an inner light. These people are not perfect. They get exhausted and stressed. They make errors in judgment. But they live for others and not for themselves. They know they were put on earth and derive deep satisfaction from doing what they have been called to do. Life isn't easy for these people. They've taken on the burdens of others. But they have a determination about them and a settled resolve. They are interested in you, and they make you feel cherished and known and take delight in your good. When you meet these people, you realize that joy is not just a feeling, it is an outlook. There are temporary highs we all get after we win some victory. And then there is also this other kind of permanent joy that animates people who are not obsessed with themselves, but have given themselves away. What I witness at Northwell Hospital every single day is the giving of oneself to others. Michael comes from a place of deep poverty, and he's risen above it to help everyone else. When you think about how the hospital operates, it has, I think, $17 billion or $18 billion of revenue. More now? Less? More. That's compressed down to a very tight margin. And with what margin is left, he makes sure that every dollar is spent around behavioral health, veterans care, mobile clinics, helping those that are less unfortunate. My own first experience with Northwell Hospital when I joined the board at the hospital system was in the emergency room. And I called up the board trustee person. I was having an emergency in the middle of the evening that was quite urgent. I waited until I thought she would wake up because I didn't know where to go. I finally got in touch with Laura, and she said, go to Huntington Hospital, speak to this person, you'll get there. I went to the emergency room to take care of my own issue. There was an urgency to it, and I was treated very, very well when I got there. While I was there, a person came in who I was absolutely certain did not sleep that night with a roof over their head. And that person was untidy and smelled terribly and was not from a place that I'm from. And I can tell you what made me most proud about being associated with Northwell Hospital is that the care that that person received was exactly the same level of care that I received in that emergency room that very early morning. It was absolutely amazing. And he was brought in. And I knew I had made a great decision participating on the board. That is what Michael Dowling has created at Northwell Hospital, a hospital that offers the greatest level of care for all sorts of complex issues, but cares also for those most in need. So it's my pleasure this night to introduce you to Michael, who's a wonderful human being.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you, Doug, for those wonderful words. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. And I'm always, especially right now, I'm conscious of the time. because I know I stand between all of you and the exit. So I'll be very, very brief. I just want to say it is a privilege to be up here and to be with all of the other unbelievably distinguished honorees tonight, and all of the other distinguished people who are here in this audience. An extraordinary community of people. If you just think of the potential that exists in this room, there is nothing that cannot be solved if we utilize our maximum potential and we work together. Nothing is impossible. Everything is achievable. So I want to thank CED for this honor. I want to thank Laurie for everything that she does, including the voluminous materials that I get on a regular basis. I don't know where they all come from, but the detail and the comprehensiveness of the material that they distribute on an ongoing basis is absolutely extraordinary. I'm very, very privileged, have been very, very privileged. Obviously, as you know, I grew up in Ireland, left home when I was 16, came to the United States by myself when I was 17, worked as a longshoreman for years, construction for years, plumber for years, went to school, and here I am. It can only happen. It can only happen in the United States, and that is something that even in the depths of depression, that the current toxicity of our politics can drive you to some days, that we should never forget. But I'm also privileged to work with 85,000 extraordinary human beings who do extraordinary work each and every day, who during the height of the COVID situation took care of, in our situation at Northwell, almost 450,000 COVID patients. Many of them are in the room, and I'd like to acknowledge many of my nurses and physicians over here. And we're in the health business, and I'm in the health business, but I'd just like to make a couple of more quick comments. Health is more than what happens in hospitals and clinics. We deliver a lot of medical care, we save lives, we do extraordinary work. But health is more than that. Health is how we work together. Health is about building a sense of community. Health is about bringing back a sense of respectability in our public discourse. It's about promoting the values of honesty, decency, truth, integrity. It's about changing the course of the sense of grievance and pettiness that seems to be so prominent today in so many circles. And it is our responsibility to change it. What we observe each and every day in the press, the media, the news, is something that should not make us that proud. We're better than that. Health is making sure that we respond to issues of climate change. Health is about making sure that what happened in Maine yesterday never again happens. Health is about making sure that we attack the issue of gun violence, which, as you all know, guns are the leading cause of death for adolescents and children. That's a public health issue. Cancer is the third leading cause of death. Guns are number one. Guns are a public health issue. And So let's think broadly. The more we partner, the more we work together, the more we respect one another, the more we get away from this victim mentality that seems to personify so many people these days, the more we give oxygen to hope, to possibility, to optimism. That's all health. How we feel about the United States and how proud we should be of it promotes health. How we educate our kids is health. So we, in our responsibility as CEOs and as individuals, we have enormous potential to change the course of events. CED was in the forefront of it during World War II, as you all know. We're in an interestingly complex time. But every problem is an opportunity. Every crisis is an opportunity. What we do from today on can change the future for us and our kids, because remember, our kids are watching. What do we leave them? Hopefully, healthy, with a healthy attitude and a healthy view of what a civilized society can be. And as Thoreau has said, you know, the author Thoreau, he said, it's not what you look at that matters, it's what you see. We have to be optimistic about seeing a positive future, that whatever is in front of us can be taken asunder and changed for the better. So, as we leave here and as we communicate with one another and others, let's give oxygen to hope, positivity, and a better future. I thank you so, so, so much.
Michael, thank you for your inspiring leadership. I will share, you did give me one piece of advice. You said, Lori, drop the word challenge from your vocabulary. Michael, I know you're absolutely right. I know everything's an opportunity, but it would totally kill our branding, leadership in challenging times. But you've heard it all tonight. We've had outstanding leaders across the major issues that are facing our nation and are facing the globe. They have all really put themselves forward and moved their companies forward and have great teams. Really, it's a call to action here. there is a tremendous amount of power in this room to make a difference. Thank you for joining us, and go out and do it. Thank you so much.